Well, as promised, we're bringing Dr. Joe back with us this morning. Joe, what do you got for us this morning, my friend?
Hey, Ray. Good morning. A couple points I wanted to talk about. It was St. Patrick's Day this week. One of my colleagues was telling me about the great national sport in Ireland known as hurling. Hurling is that sport where they have the wooden curved stick, and telling me how fired up everybody in Ireland is about that sport. But in our country, a sporting event that really gets a lot of people fired up is the NCAA basketball tournament. And so we have the tournament in high school, and it's great. And we have the playoffs in the NBA coming up, and that's great. But it seems to really capture the imagination of the country with the NCAA basketball tournament, men's and women's. And so a couple of points that I wanted to talk about. It really is one that gets the sports medicine team involved and going because of the fact that there's only 5 players out on the court. There's only 12 players on a team. The games are short, 2 20-minute halves, sudden death. And so injuries can be a really big part of this. And so the sports medicine team is pretty fired up about treating these things. And a couple of articles I read, the 3 most common injuries, this is no mystery. Number 1, far and away, are ankle sprains that occur, injuries to the ligaments that we see. Everybody right now is really trying to sort out, hey, is Cooper Flagg, the superstar Duke player, going to be ready to play this week? Will he get re-injured, and issues like that? Number 2 is non-contact knee injuries is the second most common injury, and finger injuries is third. And the sports medicine team has to rapidly assess these injuries, has to stabilize these injuries, and then determine return to play. And so the medical team is highly involved, and often it does affect what happens in the NCAA tournament as we go through this 3 weeks. So one of the other articles I read that was interesting, they say there's really been a pretty marked change in the last 25 years, especially in how physical the play is in games. And there's, for that reason, an increase in head, neck, and facial injuries in basketball as well. But that is kind of balanced by good news, is that as athletes and basketball players work really hard on strengthening and injury prevention, the overall injury rate has not really changed in that 25 years. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to look at the history of sports and the history of men's basketball tournament. There had been an article that I read, 4 major injuries that affected the tournament. And I know you'll know all these very well, Ray, with your knowledge base, but I found it kind of interesting. Number 1, a guy by the name of Scott May. You remember Scott May?
Sure do. Big forward with the Indiana Hoosiers.
1975 Indiana Hoosiers, great team, really looking like they were headed towards winning the national championship. He broke his wrist. He ended up trying to play with a cast on his wrist. It didn't work very well. Bobby Knight's team fell by the wayside, although to their credit, they came back in 1976 and had an undefeated national champion.
Yeah.
So Scotty May was number 1 on their list of injuries that affected the tournament. Number 2 was a guy with Ohio ties. By the way, Scott May was from Sandusky, Ohio. Number 2 was a guy by the name of Derek Anderson. And Derek Anderson, you remember where Derek Anderson played?
No.
He played for the Kentucky Wildcats, very athletic wing player. And in 1997, he tore his ACL. Later on in his career, he played for the Cavs for a while and came back pretty athletic, but never quite as athletic as he was. But that really kind of knocked out any chances with losing that much athleticism of Derek Anderson for the Kentucky Wildcats to win in 97. In the year 2000, in the state of Ohio, was a great center by the name of Kenyon Martin. Do you remember Kenyon Martin?
Yeah, did he play at Cincinnati?
Played at Cincinnati, yeah, for Bob Huggins' team. He was the National Player of the Year, and they went into the tournament ranked number 1 in the country. And he broke his leg in the second round. Yeah. And so Kenyon Martin broke his leg. They very quickly were dispatched and knocked out. And so one of the biggest injuries to affect the NCAA tournament was Kenyon Martin in 2020. And then one final injury is the one that was the gruesome injury that a lot of people still talk about. The TV cameras kind of mistakenly panned over and showed this player as he laid on the ground, and so many people were, it really affected them to have to see this kind of injury. And the player from Louisville by the name of Kevin Ware. Do you remember what happened to Kevin Ware?
Yeah, I do. It was a gruesome leg injury. I was watching the tournament, as a matter of fact, with my wife in New Orleans that afternoon when that happened, and it was so gruesome to watch. I agree.
Yeah, it was. And he returned to play Division II basketball several years later. Never the same. Louisville wasn't the same, and they got bumped out. And so really, sports medicine and injuries can affect this tournament quite a bit. It's one and done. It's 5 guys out there on the court. And so I'm sure injuries will affect this tournament, too. There's a lot of people looking at lists of people that are banged up or hurt right now as they head into the tournament. And so sports medicine has a role. But the tournament overall is just such a great slice of Americana as you see these young people trying to, men's and women's, trying to move forward and advance. And one shining moment, I think they call it, Ray, and it's really something that I'm looking forward to getting started here this week.
I agree 100%. One of my favorite times of the year. That was fun, Joe. Good stuff, my friend. Thanks for putting the work into it. We'll do it again next week.
Sure. One more thing,
Sure.
Ray. Hey, I wanted to wish you a great St. Joseph's Day. He's the patron saint of fathers, and there's not many better fathers around town that I know than you. So I just wanted to mention that today. Enjoy the tournament. Enjoy the day. Thanks, Ray, for all you do in our community.
You're welcome. Right back at you, my friend. The father totem pole has you at the top, that's for sure. All right, Joe, we'll do it next week, my friend.
Take care.
All right. Dr. Joe Congini, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital, on board with us this morning.